My name is Richard Epple, and I am really happy to introduce our leadership transformation model. We've been using this model for over 10 years now with our clients, and it provides very perceptive lenses into what's there and what's missing within our clients' circumstances or business situation. You can't intervene in a world you can't see. The leadership model is a way of looking at a business and begin to look at what is really missing within that business. So if you look at any business is a system that is perfectly designed to produce the results it's producing, then if it's not producing the results you want, you have to change the design. But where do you look? What are the fundamental elements of design that are impacting the ability of the business to produce results? So the base of the model starts with relationship and trust. Because leadership and the foundation of leadership is on relationship and trust. The foundation of relationship and trust is necessary for any major accomplishment. And true leadership builds relationship and trust first. And then with that in place, simultaneously with building relationship and trust, they're creating a context for action. And what is that? That's a vision of some future outcome. So a vision to us is a conglomerate of items, including what is the purpose of the business, what are the core values of the business, what is the specific mission of the business in terms of a specific outcome over a time frame, let's say 3 to 5 years, and what would that business be at the end of that time frame? What would it look, and what could you say about it? What would be a vivid description you would kind of describe the business to be in a 3 to 5 year time frame? After that context for action is established, the next item that you have to deal with is getting the total organization aligned around that context for action and committed. So you want alignment and commitment. Alignment means everybody is pulling kind of the rope in the same direction, everybody's marching in the same direction, and they're committed, meaning that they're not going to let circumstances overcome them. Organizations that have a low level of commitment within the organizations always find excuses and they use their circumstances to explain away why they're not getting results. People who are committed always overcome circumstances. People who are not committed, seems that circumstances always tend to overcome them. Now, another element of the model is what's the mood of the organization? Why do I talk about mood? Because mood is the predisposition for action. Mood is the predisposition for action. Organizations either have up moods or down moods. If you walk into certain organizations, you can even feel the mood of the organization. It has an energetic to it. And the reason they're the predisposition for action is that they're predicated on master assessments. Even though it's a emotional energetic, it's actually created linguistically. It's created in language. So organizations that have no future are living in a mood of resignation and despair, and it's really hard to pull that organization out of that mood. Organizations that have a future live in a mood of ambition, a mood of can-do, and a mood of essentially wonder and a mood that generates a lot of energy to get the job done. Another aspect of leadership is managing the mood of the organization. A prerequisite for good leaders is knowing how to manage the mood of the organization. Finally, there's the organization's capacity for action. It's its ability to actually act. And that's made up of a number of components, one of which are the processes the organizations have and how effective those processes are. The fundamental capabilities within the organization. There's two forms of capability. One form of capability is the domain expertise. How capable are the people, with the technology and with the kind of the domain knowledge for the business acumen. And the other form of capability is the essentially team dynamic, the cultural capability of the organization. Interestingly enough, the domain expertise is easily accommodated. You can buy it or you can contract for it. The cultural capability has to be developed. It's not something you buy or purchase. You develop, and you develop it over time. And you certainly develop it as a function of how deep the relationship and trust is within the organization. And that is also part of your cultural capability, the level of relationship and trust. There's also infrastructure elements and things of that nature. Now, what we find sometimes with companies that are not getting the results they want, they tend to focus on the capacity for action first. Training, education, and that's not where it's at in our experience. Where it's at is, first and all, ask some fundamental questions. Is the relationship and trust adequate to support the kind of a mission and the kind of complexities and risk you're taking with the organization? Is the context for action clear? Does everybody within the organization understand where the organization is going? Are they aligned with that context, and are they committed to bring that context forth? Are they committed to bring the mission forth? And what's the mood of the organization? Is it an up mood, can do, charge the hill, overcome circumstances, nothing gets in the way, never take no for an answer? Is it that kind of a mood? Or is it a mood of resignation and despair and a mood of explanation and excuses? Depending upon the diagnosis of these particular elements, you begin to see what's missing and what has to be put in place. So we have a very simple diagnostic that we've used from time to time. We have more complex assessment instruments than this, but this is a really simple one. And it's kind of a brief leadership survey in terms of how the leadership is affecting the organization. And the first thing is, what's the level of relationship and trust? Is it at the lower end, 1 to 5, or is it the higher end, 7 to 10? And what would have to happen to make it a 10? What's the sense of purpose? Do we have a deep sense of purpose? Do we know what societal need this organization is fulfilling? What its place in the world is? Is it deep, like in the 8, 9, 10 category, or is it shallow in the 1, 2, 3, 4 category? Does everybody understand the sense of purpose of the organization? Does it have a clear mission? Do you know what you're trying to accomplish in terms of specific outcomes in a 3 to 5 year time frame? Are there shared values? Are the values are individual and people have their own individual values? Or is there a collective set of values that the company shares? And we're talking about really core values now. These are the values that when push comes to shove will guide and direct behavior. So is it at the 8, 9, 10 level, or is it the 1 to 5 level? Is there strong alignment and commitment to bringing the mission forth? Is the culture action-focused or blame-focused? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a blame-focused culture. 8, 9, 10 is an action-focused culture. When things happen, it's not a question of who's to blame. Things happen, it's a question of, okay, now what? What are we going to do to take care of the breakdown? How are we going to resolve the breakdown? And then let's look reflectively and see what we can do to put in place the necessary system adjustments or process adjustments not to have the breakdown occur again. Is there rigorous coordination of action? Does the company have the ability to effect a high level of coordination, meaning you build things on time, you do things when you say you're going to do them, you deliver products and services to customers on the time scale you said you're going to deliver them? And when there's breakdowns in the coordination of action, again, do you take corrective action first and then look at the metrics and look at the factors that generated the breakdown and then fix systemically what caused the breakdown? And finally, do you have a culture of full accountability? People are accountable for their actions, take responsibility for not only their actions, but also for the performance of the whole organization. If they fail to deliver on the promise, that they own up to that and take the appropriate corrective action. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you've gotten something out of it. This is a very brief description of our leadership model and also our leadership diagnostic at a very high level. And would love to have comments on it. Love to get alternate points of view.